nervous. Okay. Hey guys, welcome back to another video. I just want to take a second and say thank you guys for 50 subscribers. Hashtag road to 100K. Anyway, on to the topic of today's video. I don't know if you guys know this, but I am a high school English teacher. I teach 9th grade, so I thought it would be fun today to give you 50 books that I recommend to celebrate 50 subscribers. So these are all the books that have ever rated 5 stars on Goodreads. Now I'm going to preface this by saying that some of these books I rated 5 stars when I was in high school and just started my reading journey, and some of them are recent, so I don't know that the 5-star rating would stand if I read it today. But that being said, I feel like no matter your age, you should be able to find a book that works for you and that you like. So if you want to find your next 5-star read, stick around until the end of this video. So without further ado, let's just get into the 50 books that I have rated 5 stars. So I have separated my books into genres. To begin with, we're going to start with one of my favorite genres, which is romance. On average, I typically read more romance books than I do any other book every year, so this is a pretty big genre for me. The first book in this category is People We Meet on Vacation by Miss Emily Henry. This may be controversial, but this is the only Emily Henry book that I've actually rated 5 stars, which I know, like I said, is a hot take, but I absolutely ate this book up. The reason I rated this a 5-star is because I feel like it has an element that is different from a lot of romance books that I have read, with the vacationing aspect, and it's best friends to lovers, and the ending was so predictable, but I still was on the edge of my seat reading the ending. Like, I knew what was going to happen, but I was still on the edge of my seat, and I felt like my emotions were involved. Like, when the main character, Poppy, was about to break down crying, I was like, I am going to break down and cry. And you'll see this common theme throughout a lot of the books that I rated 5 stars, but if words on paper can get me to cry or feel something very deeply in my own body, then chances are I'm gonna rate it 5 stars, because I think that that is such a beautiful and magical thing. Okay, so my next 5-star read in the romance category is Better Than the Movies. You can see how much that I have tabbed this book. I love this book because of the songs and the movies mentioned at the beginning of every chapter. That's where the tabs come from. Also, the descriptions of Liz's outfits are so cute, and I think that this book just gives me the giddy feeling of falling in love for the first time, and okay, that's enough for that. Next is Part of Your World by Abby Jimenez. This is the only book in the Part of Your World series that I rated a 5 stars. And look at the cover, the little goat on the cover, it's so precious, but this just gives very wholesome vibes, and I feel like I was rooting for the characters the whole way through this book. Next we have Last Call at the Local. I love this book because it has ADHD representation and OCD representation, and I feel like I rarely come across a book that represents OCD in a realistic way and not in a stereotypical way, so that's why I love this book. Now we're going to get into the books in this genre that I don't have the physical copy of, but that I either read on my Kindle or listened to. So the first one is One True Loves. I love this book because I feel like it is kind of a moral dilemma in a way, and it challenges questions of right and wrong while also having a really fun romance aspect, so I love that. Then we have The Do-Over by Lynn Painter, which is the perfect Valentine's Day book. I know it just passed Valentine's Day, but it has the Groundhog trope, or Groundhog Day trope, which a lot of people don't like, but I personally thought was cute, and I love Lynn Painter's YA books and how they always include playlists. So that was fun. The last book in this category is Love and Gelato, which I read in high school, and so I don't exactly remember the plot, but I remember it having strong family themes, and also has an aspect of travel, which I really enjoyed. The next genre I'm going to talk about is mystery. So to start off, we have The Housemaid and The Housemaid's Secret. I like The Housemaid just a little bit more, and I cannot wait to see the movie, but I don't feel like I have to talk too much about these because they are book talk darlings. So if you have not heard of these books, then you might be living under a rock. Not gonna lie. Then we have The Midnight Feast. This is a hot take. I know that not a lot of people love this book, but I did. I just enjoyed the atmospheric feel of it. I read it in the fall time. The chapters are short. The vibes were just everything that I was needing. It was creepy, but not in a way that made me not be able to sleep at night. Like I said, it was for me, so I loved it. Next we have Never Lie by Frieda McFadden. I don't have a physical copy of this because I read a lot of her books on Kindle Unlimited, but it was another psychological thriller that one, the twist absolutely got me. Like when I started reading it, I was like, oh, I can see where this is gonna go. I'm picking up on the clues. No, I didn't. No, I didn't. Next we have Don't Let Her Stay by Nicola Sanders. Now I'm not gonna lie to you, I do not remember a lot about what happened in that book. I think the plot kind of goes like there's this stepdaughter who moves in with her dad and her dad's new wife, and then she has some questionable behaviors and you don't really know who the villain is. So it's very twisty. I don't know that I would rate it a 5-star again if I read it, judging by how little I feel like I remember about it, but for the time it shocked me and really got me, and there's a reason I rated it 5 stars. Next we have Gone Girl by Gillian Flynn? Yeah, Gillian Flynn. I read this one in high school and I don't remember exactly why I rated it 5-star. This is on my list to reread, but I just remember being so engrossed in this book. I borrowed it from a friend and I underlined clues. I was that invested that I was like, no, I am going to be a detective and figure this out. Did I figure it out? I don't think I did, but I had a fun time doing it. Last in this category, we have The Cellar by Natasha Preston. This is another book I read in high school, and now that I think of it, the plot was very creepy. It was like a kidnapping, and it kind of reminds me of the movie Split, if you've ever watched that. That's just what it calls to mind. That's the vibes it gives. Like I said, very creepy, but it got me hooked on thrillers, so I have that book to thank for that. Okay, next we have our biggest category, and that is literary fiction. I didn't realize how much I like this genre until I realized how many books are in this genre. So let's just get into it. First, we have The Light Between Oceans by M.L. Stedman. I think that's how you pronounce it. I sobbed at this book. This is another book that handles moral dilemmas and questions right and wrong. Like I said, very sad, but worth the read to me. Next, we have The 5-Star Weekend by Elin Hilderbrand. This one will forever be a 5 stars in my mind because this is my first Elin Hilderbrand book and it really hooked me on her characters. I ate this book up. The Identicals. Now this one, I don't know if I would rate a 5-star again just because I don't remember a lot about what happens in it, but I do know that it is about 2 sisters, I guess twins. I think one lived in Nantucket and one lived on Martha's Vineyard, and so it was a little bit of like a rivalry situation, but it was really all about family, and again, I just loved Elin Hilderbrand's characters, so I would recommend. Next we have Thank You for Listening. I actually did listen to this one on audio because it's about an audiobook narrator, so it's like Inception a little bit, but I think that this one is a 5-star to me because it tackles some deeper topics like identity and beauty standards. So this one made me feel really seen and think a lot. So I liked it. Next we have Firefly Lane by Kristen Hanna. When I tell you I sobbed at the end of this, I have pictures in my phone of me crying at this book. And I watched the show beforehand. That shows you how powerful the words on paper are because I knew it was gonna happen. It wasn't a surprise, but I still sobbed and tabbed so much. I don't know if you can actually see that, but I would recommend this book when you want a good cry. It deals with female friendships and it just tackles how we are imperfect people and in friendships we make mistakes. Again, it just tackles the whole complexity of a female friendship. Next we have Anxious People by Friedrich Bachmann. I tabbed so much in this book. And it seemed like every single line of this book was just hitting for me. Again, it tackles kind of like moral dilemmas and motives, and if you want to develop your sense of empathy, please read this book. Next we have Words in Deep Blue by Kath Crowley. I read this book in high school, and the only thing I remember about it is that it has to do with a library, a bookshop, and I think what happened was like they wrote each other books or what? Let me what? I don't remember. Okay. Don't quote me on this, but I think this is, I know that this involves a bookstore. And I think that people would leave each other letters in this book. In different books in the bookstore, I think. It's definitely like a romance. I don't know why this is in the literary fiction genre now that I think of it, but we're just going with it. It's probably more of a romance, but I don't know how I'd feel if I read it again, but it did cause me to write like a 3-paragraph essay on my Goodreads review for it. If my sister's watching this, she will laugh because it was completely cringy, but I really loved this book at the time. Okay, now I'm just gonna rapid fire a few of these. We have Carrie Soto is Back, Malibu Rising, and Daisy Jones and the Six, all by Taylor Jenkins Reid. I don't wanna go too in depth into those, but I've loved every single book that I've read by her, and those 3 would be probably my top favorites. Then the next rapid fire I have is 28 Summers, The Matchmaker, and The Blue Bistro, all by Elin Hilderbrand. As we've established, I love Elin Hilderbrand's characters. Now, 28 Summers does have a trope that a lot of people don't like, but I personally was very engrossed in the book. The Blue Bistro, the descriptions of food in that book was amazing, and just the behind the scenes of the restaurant life really hooked me. And The Matchmaker was just cute and fun, but I don't know that I would rate it a 5-star if I read it again. That'd be the least memorable, I think, in my opinion, but I still rated it 5 stars. So the last book that I have in the literary fiction category is Nora Goes Off Script by Annabelle Monaghan, and this could also go in the romance genre. These genres, like, don't hate on me for putting them in different genres, but sometimes I just don't really know which one if it's best in. But nonetheless, I love this book, and I feel like, to me, it's so much more than a romance book because it's just real, and it follows a mom going through real struggles in her life, and also trying to navigate romance while also being a good mom to her kids, and also balancing that with her work life. The next category that I have is nonfiction. I only have the physical copy of one of these books, and that is The OCD Healing Journey by Mark DeJesus. Now, I know that not everyone can relate to this book, but if you struggle with OCD or anxiety even, or you have someone in your life that struggles from OCD, I would highly recommend this book. Next, I have Live No Lies and Practicing the Way by John Mark Comer. These are Christian books that just help you live out your faith, and I would highly recommend both of them. Next, we have Teacher Class Off by CJ Reynolds. This one I would recommend if you are a secondary school teacher, but if not, then you probably wouldn't have any reason to read this. Next, we have Everybody Always by Bob Goff. It's been quite a few years since I've read this book, but I love Bob Goff's approach to life in general. He's a Christian, and he really just preaches love and actually practices it, which is what that book is about. It's just kind of like that book and Love Does, which I didn't have on this list, but they both just kind of address how do we actually go about treating people in a loving way and showing them that we care and making actual difference and not just saying things. So he is like the embodiment of actions speak louder than words, and that's all I'll say about that. So this year, 2025, I've decided to stop rating memoirs just because I heard someone say this, that they don't feel comfortable rating someone's story, and I never really think about it like, oh, I'm rating someone's story. And I don't think I've ever rated a memoir below 5 stars because it does just feel wrong to be like, your story's at 3 stars. Like, yeah, but I do have these on the list, and I think that they are 5-star books that you should check out. In the sense of they're very powerful stories that really touched me and impacted my life. First, we have The Sun Does Shine by Anthony Ray Hinton, which is about his experience in jail, and it just challenges the legal system and everything like that, and I would highly recommend checking it out. Then we have Dinner for Vampires by Bethany Joy Lenz, and that book, I could not put that book down. Her story is absolutely heart-shattering and really pulled at my heartstrings. And then finally we have Becoming by Michelle Obama, which is very empowering, and I have so much respect for her and felt like I came away from that book being a lot more educated, so I loved it. Okay, the next category is historical fiction. So I'm going to start off with The Great Alone by Kristen Hanna. This is a book I listened to on audio, but it takes place in Alaska, and it just explores an interesting family dynamic, and it has a dad that was in the Vietnam War and just the implications of that and how that affected his family, and I don't want to give too much away, so I'll just leave it at that. Next we have the Guernsey, wait, no, I'm sorry, I'm gonna just have to read it right off. The Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society. Say that 5 times fast. The Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society. The Guernsey Literary and Potato Peel Pie Society. The Guernsey Literary and Potato Pie Society. Yeah, can't do it. Can't do it. Nope, nope. I guess I'm a quitter because I give up. But I don't remember a lot about what this book's about. I'm not gonna lie to you. I think it happens during the time of the Holocaust. I'm almost positive that it takes place during that time. But I just liked it. I thought it was cute, but I can't remember what it was about. Now, I know y'all already know what is coming up next in this category of historical fiction. If you know, please pause this video right now and comment it down below, because I never shut up about this book, and I never will, and I never will. And that is The Nightingale by Miss Kristen Hanna. I have so many tabs in this book. This book has made me feel things that I have never felt before while reading a book. I cannot remember the last time that I cried at a book before I picked this book up. It made me fall in love with Kristen Hanna books, and I just can't convey how this book has impacted my life. So pick it up, but also if you do pick it up, I always say to check trigger warnings and bring a box of tissues with you. Next we have the category of classics, and all of these books I read in high school and rated at 5 stars in high school, so take that with a grain of salt. One though that will forever be a 5-star to me is The Lord of the Flies. I continue to teach that in my 9th grade classroom, and since the day that I read that book in my sophomore year of high school, I have not stopped thinking about it. It is a microcosm of society as a whole, and I just love books that raise psychological questions or challenge societal norms and make you question why the world works the way that it does, or why our society is set up the way that it does, kind of like Animal Farm. Like, the allegorical aspect really interests me. Then we have The Great Gatsby. I don't know that I would rate this 5-star now, but again, I really like the symbolism and things like that. Next we have Little Women. This follows the lives of 4 sisters who I would say are like middle class, but their father goes off to war, and they are just with their mom, and it kind of just follows them through everything in life, like financial struggles and kind of like, it's a coming of age novel. So it deals with issues of gender norms and identity and romantic inclinations and passions and inspirations for life. And even though this book is long, I think that it's worth the read. My next classic is To Kill a Mockingbird. I don't have a copy of that on me, but I think that it raises a lot of important questions about racism, prejudice, all those things, and I think that it's really good for your education if you're looking to become more educated on that type of thing, and also to build a sense of empathy and acceptance and things like that, that this is a great book to check out. Next, we have the fantasy genre. Now, to this day, there is only 2 books in this category that I've ever rated 5 stars. And those books are Once Upon a Broken Heart and Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. This one is just very magical and fairy tale-esque. Obviously, it's Once Upon a Broken Heart, but I love this book. And then Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets, it's just a comfort read to me. Everything about it is just like a warm hug. It's like when you eat chicken pot pie on a cold day and you're just cozying up with a blanket. It gives all the vibes that you want it to give, so, or that I want it to give anyway. Next, we're just gonna go straight into the young adult genre, which I guess Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets can fit into that too, but I have Far From the Tree and Divergent on that. Now, Far From the Tree is by Robin Benway, and it is the embodiment of a found family trope, so that's why I just love this one. And Divergent, I remember reading that in middle school. I said I read all these books in high school or after, but I read this one in middle school, and I could not wait to get my hands on this entire series. I love dystopia. I would say that that's my favorite genre. And again, if I reread this, would I find it cringy? Probably, but it's just like Twilight. Like, it's going to remain a 5-star, which I didn't include Twilight on this list, but it's going to remain a 5-star regardless. The final genre that we have is magical realism. So the first one that we have is This Time Tomorrow by Emma Straub. I don't have a physical copy of this, but there were so many quotes in here that I loved, and if I'm remembering correctly, it's a Groundhog Day trope as well. So if you don't like that trope, maybe don't check it out, but I think that it just showed the importance of appreciating your life and also just accepting that the choices that you made brought you to where you are today. So don't question them, just enjoy where you are right now. And then The Love of My Afterlife, and I'm so happy to say that this is a 5-star because I resisted buying this book for like a year till my husband finally just gave in and he bought it for me because I would not buy it for myself. And I loved this book. I ate it up. Like, I could not put this book down. This is just gives me all the warm fuzzy feelings, and it does not have any cringy tropes for me. Like, I didn't feel like cringed out by any of it. So if you like non-cringy love books, then you should check this one out. I would have included this in romance, but it is magical realism as well. So, all right guys, those are the 50 books that I, as an English teacher, would recommend to you. So I hope that you found something in these 50 books that you can read and enjoy, and it might be a 5-star for you. Please leave a comment below letting me know if you have read any of these books and if you rated them a 5-star or not. Or I'm always open to recommendations. But overall, this video is to celebrate hitting 50 subscribers. So thank you for being a part of that and supporting me. And you can continue to support me by liking and leaving a comment below if you're able to, and also subscribing if you're not already subscribed. And I'll see you guys on the next one.